Alright, so it's been a while since I did an update. It is May 23rd. Peppers are still basically in the basement full-time under the light. They've been getting out an hour or two every day for some hardening off. Pretty decent size, especially on some of these. They're going to be in the ground the next couple days. Just a quick count, I ended up with, let me see here, 4 purple cayennes, 1 weary, 6 fish peppers, 2 Djwala peppers, 3 yellow Scotch bonnet peppers, 5 Thai red, 5 lemon drop, 2 chocolate scorpion apocalypse, 2 Brazilian starfish, that's that tall one there is one of them, and 5 Japones peppers this year. Okay, so obviously that's 35 peppers I've weeded it down to from like over 50. I got room for well under half of those in the garden. So what I'm planning is to do at least a whole row of those purple cayenne, because cayenne's so versatile and it'll look pretty. A whole row of fish peppers for sure, my favorite. A whole row of Thai red, because they're really prolific and versatile to use as well. And a whole row of lemon drop, my second favorite. It leaves about 1 or 2 rows to do mixed varieties. I want to leave some room for tomatoes. I bought my tomatoes at the fruit market yesterday. I can roll out some of these, like the weary and the chocolate apocalypse scorpion. Those super hots, they're going to go in pots because they can grow. They're a lot smaller. So I'm going to have 1 or 2 rows of mixed. The Japones I want to get in, the Scotch bonnet. So that's what I have right now, and we'll get out there and look at the garden, see what we can do. Alright, so as always, I'm sort of limited in my space, so I got about 19 foot by 6. I'm going to do rows of 3. It's going to be a little tight. I'm going to do 1 foot 10 inch rows, that way I can get about 10 different columns, I guess. The dirt is looking great though. I mean, this was all clay and rocks when I dug it in about 5 or 6 years ago. Food scraps, eggshells, mushroom compost, a little manure every year. This year I got to till it, so it is looking great. Anything I can't fit in here, what I did last year and what worked pretty good is I built these little kind of makeshift planters out of pallet wood, and I'll just stick random plants in the ground wherever I can do it, like the overflow, and if they don't grow, big deal, because I didn't have room anyway, and if they do grow, it's like a bonus. But as you can probably see, my project for today, before we get anything in the ground this weekend, is wanted to add a 3rd layer to my timbers around the garden and make it look real pretty and raise it up, because some of the dirt's almost level with it now. But lazy and impatient Jake in the past didn't do the first layer perfectly level in all places. This one's pretty good. So when he did the 2nd layer and pounded in those big stakes, it was a little leaning, but he thought, you can't really notice it that much. But now when you try to put the 3rd layer on, it's way off. So we are starting over, prying these big ass 10-inch stakes out, and we're going to get this dug out and completely level, put in the 3rd layer. So I'm going to spend the morning doing that most likely, and then we'll look into maybe planting tomorrow or Monday, Memorial Day. I want to get in before it gets too late in the season, and it's supposed to rain a lot next weekend, so I'll get dirty. Check back with you guys later. Okay, so this is, I don't want to jinx myself, but actually going a little better than I thought. Got this pretty much level, and this time, instead of pounding in these big stakes, I'm actually taking the time to pre-drill. Use these wood screws, and I'm insetting them just a little bit with this spade bit. That way they don't screw up the next layer. And I think we're well on our way. right, and we are done. Pretty happy with that. I did till this already this year, but I'm going to do it again since I just messed all this up. So when I run out to get nails, I did get some organic manure. Got some grass clippings to use up over there. And I have a little bit of sand and ash from the last couple fires we had. I did let this get rained on, so it washed out a lot of the salt and the lye. Just left the nutrients, so I'm going to sprinkle this on and I'm going to fire up that tiller again. Alright, now that is a garden that looks pretty damn good and ready to go. Better than I look, I assume. But it was worth it. Either tomorrow morning or Monday, we'll pick back up where the plants are going in. Alright, it's the day. It's Sunday. Feels like Christmas morning. Still got a lot of shade. We're going to go ahead and get these in the ground. Going every 22 inches buys me a whole extra row. So it's basically 2 feet apart. Still going to be a lot closer than ideal, but be able to get more in the garden. Alright, so I was going to do this cool like fast forward thing, but I'm only 2 in, I'm already 5 minutes. I don't feel like editing all that. So I'm just going to give you the before. I do have the purple cayenne and fish peppers in. And soon you'll see the after. And after. So, we're done with that part at least. We're going to pretend it's not 8:30 in the morning. Alright, so let's see what we got. Ended up with 1 row of the purple cayenne, 1 row of my fish peppers, 1 row Thai bird, 1 row of the ahi lemon drop Peruvian peppers. Excuse me. This here, I ended up splitting it. Got the Brazilian starfish in the back, the Japon Chinese in the middle, and the yellow Scotch bonnet up front. Tried to anticipate doing it by size. Then the other half of the garden, 1 row of the old German heirloom tomatoes, 1 row of the Ponderosa pink, 1 row of Roma, and then 2 grape tomatoes here. Left some room, that's where I do my beans, my pole beans up there. Cherokee Trail Tier black beans and Asian red noodle beans this year. So all that's left is I'm gonna put up the stakes for the tomatoes at least, sprinkle some grass clippings around and put up the chicken wire fence, and the garden part will be done. Still have quite a few plants to find room for or give away this year. Getting there. Alright, so these are my 2 chocolate apocalypse scorpion peppers. Judging by the name. Hi, buddy. Judging by the name, you can infer that they're going to be about twice as hot as a ghost pepper, they say. But this is such a new variety that it actually wasn't even tested yet. Don't eat that, Rory. Spent $3 on like 10 seeds, which is pretty expensive when it comes to seeds. I was lucky. I had like 3 or 4 come up. I narrowed it down to the best 2. Never really had good luck with super huts, but these are like the biggest ones I've ever had this time of year. They're almost twice as big as the one in the stores even. I had a really good germination this spring, so excited about these. So here's overflow area number 1. Now this is really dinky. It's not ideal at all, but like I said, these are plants that are going to get thrown away anyway. So this is just to see if they work. 2 extra Japones peppers, 2 extra Thai reds, 2 extra fish peppers, 2 extra lemon drops. I plant 6 of each, even though I can only fit 2 or 3 of each because you never know how many seedlings are going to die. I had a good year. Spaghetti squash, 1 or 2 of those would take up half my garden. So I just jam them down here. As you see, I got 4 in this little thing. I'm just getting reckless here. 2 Jwala peppers. Indian, I love Jwala peppers, but this year every website was out. I had to order them on like Wish. So even though they came up, I'm not 100% convinced that they're the real thing, so I did not want to use one of those important spots in my garden for them. I'll throw them down here, see what happens. And then some extra tomatoes and eggplant. Like I said, those tomatoes are probably not going to grow well at all, but if I get a few, it's a bonus. This is overflow area number 2. My 2 chocolate apocalypse scorpion, another fish pepper, yellow scotch bonnet, and one of those is the Jwala, one's an extra Japones. This way I can see, you know, some of these I have in all 3 spots. I can see what works best, you know, for the future. But I'll just have to water these and keep up with them since they're in containers. But they're right next to the garden, which is now pretty much finished for the year. I put my beans in up along the staircase here. You're getting into those tomatoes. Those are for Aunt Kim. Hey, you gonna help me pick tomatoes this year and eat them? What do you say? I need that one to give to Aunt Kim. Don't destroy it. And this weary pepper is a small ornamental hot pepper from Africa. And I think it'll survive in this little pot just on the kitchen windowsill if I don't knock it in the sink. And it's not all peppers and tomatoes here. This is a wine sap apple tree coming on the 3rd year. Very sour apple, good for wine. They got like really thick skin. Apparently you can pick them in the fall, keep them in the fridge all winter. They won't go bad. This is a Cortland, 3rd year as well. This is a good baking apple. There's a bee that won't leave me alone. And then for anybody that was at our wedding, we did that dirt ceremony with that little tree. That was a Fuji apple tree, and now 5 years later looks like this. That's one of my favorite ones to eat fresh. So Fuji, Cortland, wine sap, 3 different types. They all cross-pollinate with each other. I've got apples 2 years on this, no Cortlands yet, but we actually had a couple wine sap last year, 3rd year in. On the side of the house here, this is at what is now pretty mature raspberry bush and blackberry bush. I get a couple gallons each per year. They go to pie, they go to wine. This year I'm going to try and find a little spot to jam in this strawberry vine Cody gave me too. And then since it worked out so well last year doing another herb garden out front, still needs weeded, but rosemary, thyme, doing 3 basil plants this year. I have the dill that actually came up from last year, no need to plant, and oregano back in there.